Curious about all things paranormal? Well, you're in for a treat. Each week we dig up the top 3 craziest stories and mysteries right from our Facebook group.
That's right, everybody. So grab yourself a drink, relax, and get ready to dive into the supernatural with us. Welcome to Top Paranormal Stories of the Week, episode 12.
But before we dive on into our first submission, let's take a quick look back at some of the highlights from last week's content.
Okay, so in our latest episode of Beyond the Hub podcast, we had an incredible interview with Nancy Thames, a former Department of Defense, DoD, employee who claims to have experienced alien abductions and interdimensional encounters. Nancy shared her shocking personal stories and discussed her mission for alien disclosure. From her time with the Department of Defense to her creation of timefordisclosure.com, Nancy revealed insights that you probably wouldn't believe. This was one of our more intriguing episodes, being that it was an interview, diving deep into the unknown and questioning everything we think we know about extraterrestrial life. Highly recommend you guys check that out if you haven't. It was a thrill to actually interview her, and I was extremely happy to share that with everybody.
That was a really good interview. And now that's out of the way, I want to thank you all for tuning in to Beyond the Hub podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Brandon, and we are excited to have you join us for today's 30-minute live stream.
Let's jump into our first paranormal pick of the day.
While he's pulling that up, I just want to say hi to everybody in the chat today. We got Curtis Selby. He says, I finally made a live stream. Huzzah! Well, thank you. Happy to have you here, Curtis. Last call with Troy Pacelli.
Troy, nice seeing you.
Me too at Curtis. I'm still trying to get ready for Monday Night of the Movies. Monday Night of the Movies is awesome. Curtis saying howdy to Troy. Okay, so we got Curtis and Troy in here.
And there's other people in here, but look at what we got so far. We got 147,000 people in this group. Bear Flag, how you doing today?
Hey, Bear Flag.
What do we got on our first? This comes from Keely Shea. This was my cousin's wedding photo. Ended in a nasty divorce. Told her this was an omen. All right, so whoa, okay.
That's creepy.
Let's click on the photo here. So this is the... All right. What?
Okay.
So when we see what we're talking about, right? Like, when I was looking at this, I was like, what am I looking at? Is this Chewbacca right here?
No, I see the eyes in the back. But also, if you look in her, what's that called? The part of the wedding dress, the hair part.
I know what you're saying. I don't know.
The
veil?
veil. The wedding veil. If you look up to the top right, there's more of the same color lights by the...
You mean like this, or this right here?
Right there. Yep.
Think it could be a reflection of something?
Just to get the skeptic part of this out of the way, I think that it could be either lights in the background, just like that, or it could be a reflection. But if you look closely at those eyeball lights, or glowing eyeballs, it looks like there's a faint grin underneath it.
Let's go back, because there was...
You see?
This is a... Whoa!
Looks like there's a faint grin.
Looks like the teeth right there, right?
Right. That's a little creepy to me. And I will also say that in my personal experience that I've had, experiences, where I'm going to be getting into in very great detail very shortly coming up here on the show about my lucid dreaming and astral projection experiences. The demon that was tormenting me during my experiences, its eyes looked just like that. Like they look like laser pointer dots, and they're piercing.
I don't know. This definitely looks like, I don't know if this, usually you can tell if something is just matrixing in the background, or if it's I forget what the name of that is when you're seeing something.
Oh, there's a specific name for it when you stare at a picture so long and you see something out of it.
I can't think of the word.
I think it begins with a P.
Pareidolia.
Pareidolia or something like that. Yeah.
Matt Cheatwood says, good evening all. Nice to see you, Matt. Curtis Selby says, I used to be able to lucid dream, but when I turned 18, I lost the ability. I mean, we were talking about that's interesting that if you get to a certain age, some people, especially with kids, they lose some sort of ability to see things.
Or like tune into that spiritual around us,
Yeah.
like be tuned into it. And I just want to say that I don't necessarily think that you are incapable of lucid dreaming anymore. It's possible. I actually was 19 when I actively pursued trying to lucid dream. There are avenues to learn how to do it on command, and do it reliably, where you can basically go to sleep every night and have a lucid dream. But the methods to do it, I've discovered, are borderline getting into the occult, and I don't practice them myself anymore. I don't have lucid dreams intentionally anymore because of the experiences I had. So I don't condone doing it, but if I accept that everybody has their own free will and will make whatever choices they want. Like I could tell somebody not to go drive their car after they got wasted at a bar, but they're going to go do it if they want. I don't condone it. I don't want them to do it, but they're going to do it. So if you actually want to learn how to lucid dream, the only direction I'm going to point you into is look up the, what is it? I had it on the tip of my tongue while I was saying this. I think it's the Monroe Institute, I believe. And they have this guided meditation that you could use along with binaural beats to walk into a dream. Now, that's as far as I'll tell you. If you want to do it again, I don't condone it because lucid dreaming is amazing. It's fun. And if it happens accidentally, fantastic. That's great. But with what I experienced, I'm not looking to do that again.
Let's catch up on some of the comments here. I was able to compare to it. Thank you, Troy. Good evening. Sorry. The scariest thing at my wedding was my mother-in-law, says Curtis. Curtis says, I recently had a few, but it doesn't happen often. Caitlin Duke says, so scary, almost looks like a Babadook.
A Babadook.
Babadook.
I don't know what
that is. It was a movie. It was really scary.
Okay.
Let's go. To this day, sometimes I can lucid dream. It's just not always easy to recognize you are dreaming, and that's the first step.
Yep. And so, like, the way to break through that, because, like, when you're trying to learn how to do it, well, I should say me, when I was trying to learn how to do it, I remember having some experiences where I was dreaming, and then I realized, oh, man, I'm dreaming. And then the realization that I'm dreaming excites me so much that I, like, excite myself awake. So as I realize I'm dreaming, I'm like, oh, I wonder what I can do. This is a dream. I'm like so excited. I wake up. I'm like, oh no. And then I try to go back to sleep and continue the dream. And it just never happens. The only dreams that continue when you go back to sleep after you wake up are nightmares.
Yes.
I don't know why. It's always. It's just like you wake up terrified, especially as a child. I'd wake up terrified. I had this one nightmare where like my family, and I was with all my brothers and sisters, my mom and my dad. We were going like out fishing or something. And as we're driving through the back trail of the forest, there's this creepy guy that we ran into in real life, and he was just really suspicious. You know, when you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach and your gut that something bad is happening or is about to happen. I had that feeling, and my dad was a retired detective from the NYPD, so he's keen on picking up body language and when something suspicious is happening. So I went to sleep that night after we left that encounter, and my subconscious or my dream filled in the blanks for what that terrible thing he was doing. And apparently my subconscious told me he was a murderer, and in my dream he like kidnapped one of my sisters and was trying to kill her. And I woke up terrified that night and went to my parents' room and was like, hey, that guy in the woods really scared me because I had a dream that this is what happened. And my dad's like, it's just a dream, and go ahead, go back to sleep, it's fine, it didn't happen, you're here right now, everybody's safe. And I'm like, okay. I go lay down, and the dream picks up right where it left off. Yeah. And I'm like, why is this happening? It's terrible.
That's always the case.
It's terrible.
Curtis, how do you restream? Yeah, the restream that's just us when we because we were connected through a bunch of different apps right now, so we could just message through there. That's us.
Oh, we got somebody new on Twitch. Steph Alcala. I'm sorry if I'm butchering her name. She says, hey guys, I'm new here and so excited to find you guys. We're glad you found us too.
Welcome.
We hope you enjoy the conversations we're having today and the posts we're featuring. Okay, so
Curtis is very cool.
Curtis says, beyond the podcast, do you believe meditation is good or bad? Or anyone else in the chat, what do you think? I appreciate that question. I'm curious to hear what other people's thoughts are as well. I personally I lean more towards it, this is hard to describe. I think meditation matters on what your intent is. I don't think the act of meditation itself is bad, but like one could argue that a Christian in prayer, or someone of the Jewish faith or Islam in prayer, is a form of meditation.
I was just going to correlate that.
And I don't think that that's bad. I think that that's wonderful. But I think that meditation is opening up a doorway or a communication channel with entities or spirits, or God, so whatever you're attempting to communicate with, that you might not necessarily be able to close or get rid of what you invited into your life. So I personally, I pray, I'm a Christian, but I don't like sit there and meditate and focus on my inner self or anything like that. My meditation is prayer and hoping that good happens in many people's lives, not just mine.
Because doesn't meditation involve vibrational sounds? And then we talk about that, how vibrations can open up some sort of other something else inside you too. So like when like meditation, I feel like or like something like that, or
that's like the Hollywood.
I'm that's Hollywood, but like they still like some people
that is
listen
still
to
a form
music
of
and
meditation.
Stuff. Yeah,
that is part of the I think Hindu culture. Like those sounds are the vibrations you're saying.
Yeah.
You're speaking of here, designed to intentionally open up these gateways, to open up a chakra or invite the spirit of so and so to inhabit you. And that just sounds a little bit like demonic possession to me, so I would steer clear of that personally. But I don't think meditation as a whole is bad. I just think it's similar to like maybe going ghost hunting, and you're using some tools like Nick has done here. He's using different devices. Opening up those doors of communication can be bad, but the way he's doing it might determine how, if anything sticks around, if anything follows him or something like that.
Or it could be like you were saying earlier, you pray to something else. You're gonna be opening up a different line of communication, right? If you're praying to the devil or something,
right? If you sit there and meditate and focus your intentions on communicating with Lucifer or the devil, then you might get an answer, and maybe the answer you get might not be something that is great that you would have desired.
Yeah.
I pray to God and thank Jesus. That's what I do. But that was a very interesting question. Thank you for that question, Curtis.
We got a lot of comments rolling in through right now. And my experience with dreaming, this is from Matt. My experience with dreaming is perhaps unusual and certainly difficult to describe. We'd like to hear it. Kevin, I'm a little late.
Here.
Nice.
I'm happy you made it, Kevin. I'm all better.
Bear Flag says, I've had dreams where people said they'd meet at the same place when I come back.
Wait, I've had dreams where people said they'd meet me at the same place when I come back. That sounds like it's a little bit more than a dream. We're going to go deep on that on our lucid dreaming and astral projection episodes.
What about like premonitions? Like, because I have an example from the other night. I had a dream that so I was dreaming and I got this email, and this is email I've been waiting for a long time. And I had woken up because I thought, sometimes you're like, where you're kind of like awake and sleeping and maybe, you might have just checked your phone or something. Mm-hmm. So I woke up, there was no email. 3 hours later, I get that email.
That you had.
I was waiting on this email it could have been within a couple months. And I just happened to have that the night before, and I woke up, there was nothing there. 3 hours later, I get that email.
That's weird. So like you basically had a dream that you got the email.
Mm-hmm.
But in the dream, you woke up from sleeping and got the email?
Yeah.
And that's how it happened?
Yeah.
That's extra weird. That was like a to the T kind of premonition.
Oh, I've had a bunch of weird stuff like that. Curtis,
like the deja vu stuff.
Oh, yeah. I usually do guided YouTube meditation where I focus on my breath and or simply pray to God. Well,
if you're doing that already, you're one step away from walking into a dream, lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
Or astral projection. I absolutely do not condone astral projection. I have done it successfully, and that is when the demon that I brought as a reference to this, which took us down this whole rabbit hole of a conversation, which I love, from this picture, that astral projection got me there. Spectral Paranormal stopping in. Hey, broskies. How's it going, Spectral? Hope everything's well with you guys. Last call, Troy Pacelli says, I've had rerun dreams, but frankly, I'm pretty sure those are just my subconscious preoccupied with something. That's very likely. My experience with dreaming is not necessarily it doesn't necessarily make me believe that the subconscious has nothing to do with the dreams, but I think that there's a lot more to the dream state / dream realm than we give credit to typically in society today. All right, let's get on to the next topic.
1 second. Did we say head us back to a paranormal?
Yes, I did.
Oh, say, hey, bro. Okay, sorry about that. Let's
just final thoughts on this picture here. Like,
this is weird.
This is weird. I thought that it very likely. I looked at it from the skeptical lens. It could be a reflection. It could be lights like what was behind her veil on the other side. But I'm leaning towards that looks very eerily similar to the piercing eyes of the demon I saw that was tormenting me when I was astral projecting.
But it's interesting that she saw that my cousin's wedding for ending in Nasty Forest told her this was an omen. So she saw this picture and said this isn't going to work out, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
But this was a creepy.
That's just creepy. If I'm going back through my wedding photos and I find that thing staring in the back,
I mean, look at that.
that would freak me out.
That's a smile. That's a full face.
That's what I said. Right? It looks like a creepy demon face.
The cheese. He's cheesing too.
And I'm not gonna, dude. I'm not just saying this because of the picture, but that's how the demon smiled at me when it was tormenting me.
Really?
It had the smile just like that. That was his face.
This one actually gives me like some chills, to be honest with you.
This one was creepy. And this was a great post. Thank you for sharing it, Keely.
Keely, thank you. 1 second. Let's go back to this, and we're gonna pull up our second story of the day. Let's go back here. Make sure this isn't from an anonymous person.
Is this the story, or is this the
this one.
Okay. This one isn't necessarily a story posted, but someone posted asking about everybody else in the group to share their Ouija board stories. And we figured it'd be a great idea to feature some of these that are in the comments in our live stream today and get you guys' feedback while you're here in the chat too.
Oh, we got some love going on TikTok right now too. This is the first time we've ever had a lot of people in here. I got 1,000 likes. What?
Oh, that's awesome.
Over on TikTok. Thank you all for being here. If you have any stories to share, please share them. Let's go through some of these comments. What would you feel that you're playing with fire? See, a lot of people think that like,
whoa, okay, Amy. My mom got my name from the Ouija board. It told her I would be a girl and all that. Shake my head. I've been cursed from the get-go. Who named me? That is concerning. I don't think you would be cursed because of your mother. But
I've never heard.
I don't know.
I've never heard of that. Someone like getting their name, like, honey, we can't figure out a name. Let's just let the Ouija board figure it out.
That's so creepy. I wouldn't want any entities
that's interesting.
telling me to name. I wanted to name my son what I wanted to name my son. That name came to me from me. Like, I thought of that. I had my reasons for it.
That's interesting.
We got someone.
I'm gonna give this a little wow on there.
Someone saying that.
No,
don't touch that.
I like Ouija boards.
Okay, that's not a story, but thank you for your input. Okay, let's see. Dandy Night.
Nah.
No.
See, stay away from it. I'm a ghost hunter. See, like that's the thing about this. What is the difference between a ghost hunting device and the Ouija board? I don't know.
One's technology and one's a board. I mean, you can make a Ouija board and on the dirt.
You can make a Ouija board out of nothing.
Yeah, just draw it on the dirt and it still will function the same. I think it's a tool used to communicate. So break it down to its very basic essence. Then yes. A spirit box is a tool used to communicate, and a Ouija board is a tool used to communicate. So I get what you're saying, but I think the Ouija board it's been around longer, so maybe that's where it's more of a negative stigma.
Did we see this story over here by Matt? We'll go up to the top here in case anyone else wants to share this while we're looking.
Okay, Matt says I have had the experience when drifting off to sleep or waking slowly of a brief moment of communication with consciousness that seems to only be awake when I am asleep and vice versa. That is very interesting. I don't think I've had an experience like that. But the fact that you put consciousness in quotations means that you're assigning to it some sort of sentience, which I find interesting because I didn't communicate with the demon I saw necessarily like with my words, but I got this. I felt like it wasn't necessarily like what's that called when you telepathic communication. It wasn't
Yeah.
like he was talking to my mind, but like I knew what the intentions were, what its intentions were, and it knew I was afraid. That much was communicated to one another. Curtis says, I used to dream that I was working at my two least favorite past jobs at the same time.
So a nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
A nightmare.
How are you doing two jobs at the same time, man?
So it could be psychological, but it does remind me of the ancient ideas that this around the sun down and sun up, borders between the worlds are more permeable. Okay.
I think so. I think so. I think that veil is thin. I think the veil has gotten increasingly thinner. That separates the spiritual realm from ours over the last 100 years. I think that whether we have had a reason, like humanity has had a part to play in that or not, I don't know. But I think it's been increasingly thin. And I have my theories about CERN and their particle collider and trying to open a black hole in a planet. And yeah, I could go on for about that for a while. But in the spirit of keeping things moving, let's just finish up with these.
We'll look at
chats
Kevin real quick, and then we'll go back to the story.
Kevin says, the only stories I have about Ouija boards are when my brother and I were much, much younger. My mom and dad bought one. The next day it was in the garbage. I never did ask them why. Well, that's a story in itself, because your parents either said this is a bunch of BS and threw it out, or they're like, this is dangerous, we shouldn't have done this, and threw it out.
Yeah.
Maybe you should ask them if they're still around. Sorry if I brought up a touchy subject.
I don't see. Amanda, my dad's stepmom was an old gypsy tarot card reader. She warned me my whole life to never use a Ouija board, so I've never used one and taught my children the same. I'm now developing medium, but I connect on a vibration, not through a Ouija board. Okay.
See, that's why would a gypsy tarot card reader say don't use a Ouija board when they're reading tarot cards?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all part of the great overarching like area of the occult practices. Like using a Ouija board is an occult practice. Reading tarot cards is an occult practice. Don't do that occult practice. Do this one.
Oh, this is cool. We still have ours from the 1960s.
Wasn't it a Hasbro thing? It was like marketed by Hasbro. Yeah, I know you did a video.
I did a
about
video
this,
on it.
right? Well, Hasbro, I would keep it sealed in the box for more than one reason.
Oh, here's a story.
Okay, Misi. I'm not even. I'm gonna try.
It's common spelling.
Beulah Lynch.
Yeah.
Okay, I tried. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. 48 years ago, when my mom was pregnant with me, my father made a
You said with my father. My mom was pregnant with my. All right, go on.
My father made a Ouija board. They asked how old the child was that my mom gave up for adoption. It told her the exact age in days, not years. Father didn't know the answer. When they did the math, it was dead on. So they asked when I would be born, told them I would be on July 31st, 2 weeks early at 12 p.m., and that the regular doctor wouldn't be able to deliver me because of illness. It was right about everything. They burned the board and buried the ashes. My mom would never let us get one again. Oof.
That's a cool, and that's interesting. I'll give that one a little.
I don't think. Look, if you invited some negative spirits or some malicious spirits that mean you harm into your life through the use of a Ouija board, I don't think burning it and burying the ashes is going to get rid of it. Although I applaud the attempt. I think inviting them in, there needs to be a way to get rid of them that's not just burning that. I don't know.
Why is everyone abbreviating pregnant right now? We got preg, we got PG.
I don't know. Maybe
When my mom was trying to get PG,
PG-13.
Oh, I'm sorry. She had 3 miscarriages.
That's sad.
She stopped having her, but kept getting negative pregnancy tests. Even the tests at the doctors were negative. That night after the doctor appointment, my mom and since friends were using one, and they asked my mom what would get on the board and responded now. Responded when my mom would get on, and the board responded now. They asked a few times throughout the night in different ways, and the board insisted she was pregnant. The next week, my mom went back to the doctor, and she was almost 10 weeks pregnant. She couldn't figure out how the test could be so wrong.
doctors get stuff wrong, but I also think there's room for miracles. That's my final take on that one. I mean, my family has their own personal history through all the generations of miracles happening beyond what the the doctors and the people in the hospital and tests that we have at that current time have been giving them as answers. And then different things happen, miracles. Like my little brother was supposed to be born with Down syndrome, and they had a lot of tests that they did to confirm that this was really the case. And my mom went to go, I was 14 years old at the time. My mom went to go deliver the baby, my little brother Evan. Her and my dad both thought that he was going to be born with Down syndrome. But when the doctor said, you can go get an abortion if you want before it's too late, back then, when they found out around the, 20-week mark or something like that, they were like, no, absolutely not. If God wants us to have this baby, then that means that we're supposed to be this baby's parents. And my dad would pray about it. He prayed about it a lot. Every day he prayed that his son would be happy and healthy. That's all he cared about, is that his baby was happy and healthy. And all of the tests, the most the most accurate test was up to 99.999 repeating percent accuracy, with that 0.000001% chance of being wrong. I believe that little tiny chance of being wrong is because they can't get a miracle. They can't predict a miracle. And my brother was born totally healthy, fine, no Down syndrome.
Wow.
And he's totally fine. And that's just, my generation. Well, not necessarily I'm 14 years older than my brother, but, my parents have a miracle of their own. And then when their parents have a miracle in the family of their own. So I think miracles not only exist, but are more common than we seem to think. And I don't think that just because the doctors and science got it wrong, that it's always a miracle, but I think that both are capable of being in existence.
Some things you can't explain away.
Yeah. I got a little bit of interaction in the chat before we move on to the last topic here.
Troy said stay
Troy
away.
said stay away from Ouija boards. Hasbro is an evil company. Don't even get me started on their corporate crowdfunding scheme. I would actually be interested to hear that. I think Hasbro's an evil company too, but I have different reasons. Curtis says, I have never played with a Ouija board. My mind is more open than in the past, but it still feels spooked, right or wrong, by Ouija boards. And yet, Hasbro is evil. Matt Cheatwood, a miracle isn't something extremely unlikely happening. It is something absolutely impossible happening. That's a fair point. I tried to convince geeks to all... Actually, that's a really good point. I just have to go back on that. That's a really good point, because a miracle is literally... The definition of miracle is literally... something that is impossible to happen happening. Very good point. Curtis Selby says, I tried to convince geeks to all sell Hasbro stock short when they were just threatening to renege on the D&D licensing, but it would have been bad. The stock stayed just a tad high. I don't know much about stocks.
Do you know who told me that nothing is impossible? Shia LaBeouf.
What?
Shia LaBeouf.
Just do it.
Just do it. Nothing is impossible. Those are words I live by. Curtis says, don't really know what I think about miracles anymore.
Yeah, I think they exist. That's where I'll leave that one. All right, what's the last topic we got for today?
The last one of the day, we are looking at... Let's bring you back over. This is from Destiny Cruz, a rising contributor. Thank you, Destiny. It's going too fast. Why is my house suddenly haunted? We've lived in the same house for almost a decade. I've never experienced anything abnormal, but within the last 2 weeks, almost every person in my family has had a paranormal encounter. Let's see. For me, it happened one morning shortly after I woke up. I had to go to the bathroom because I have a baby that likes to crawl, and we shut the door. I knocked, and no one answered. As I started to open the door, I heard a tapping sound, and what I found was an empty bottle of cleaning spray rocking back and forth on its own. When I walked fully into the bathroom, it stopped. It didn't stop abruptly as if it was whatever it was rocking it had stopped. The next person to have an otherworldly experience was my significant other. He was in the kitchen and thought he heard my son farting as he walked down the hallway. He looked around the corner and no one was there. My son was still in bed asleep. The mysterious ghost fart. Interesting.
I wonder if they stink. You can't see them. Does that
Silent
mean you
but
can't smell
deadly.
them?
The third person to experience something was my eldest son. He's too stoned to remember what happened, but he's not the hysterical type to. So whatever he experienced may have been pretty gnarly, or it could have just been the edibles. I'll leave that one up in the air if he was under the influence.
But also, she didn't describe what that
Yeah.
experience was.
The fourth person was my youngest son. We were all in the room, in fact, but he's the only one who noticed. We were watching a movie in my room, and he had sat down. He set his drink on the railing on my baby's crib. He said he watched it slide on its own about 2 inches. Also, I thought this might be related because it was just out of the ordinary, and I have yet to explain it. For about a week, one part of our house smelled almost like bleach. We looked everywhere, assuming something had spilled. We never found anything, and the smell eventually went away. We haven't gone anywhere particularly haunted, and no one in our family has recently died. No major life events, and our house is only 50 years old. Any ideas as to why this is all suddenly occurring? And should I be worried the activity might become more frequent?
Well, that's a lot. Nothing seems too concerning, but still strange, right?
That it happened.
And that each person has different accounts of weird things happening. That I find interesting. But some of them I always try to rationally explain from a skeptic point of view before I assume the paranormal, because if you can explain it away without the paranormal, then it's most likely not paranormal. Paranormal is reserved for things that are not normal. So I would say maybe with like the one where your son put his drink on the railing of the crib and that moved, is the crib railing level? Is the crib railing a flat surface? Is it rounded? I mean, my son's crib's railing is rounded, so I couldn't put anything there. So I'm assuming it's flat, or else he wouldn't put a drink there, because if it's rounded, you can't put a drink there. But that one's a little weird. And the bleach smell, that's the most concerning one to me.
I haven't heard a bleach smell before. That's new.
I haven't heard of bleach, but I've heard of strange odors.
Like sulfur, or like
Yeah.
just even anything. Like, I mean, some smells attributed to the people who may have been like had like cigarette smoke, like perfume or something, but like
Yep.
bleach. Maybe there was a maid or something.
I
don't know.
I haven't heard of the bleach, but she also said her house is only 50 years old.
But the land isn't.
So I don't know.
But if it was,
That's
it would
true,
have
the
happened
land.
before.
The land.
Now, the only thing I could say is maybe they said they hadn't gone anywhere particularly haunted. Maybe, you don't really know if a place is haunted. You could bring something back without knowing.
Or what if your oldest is dabbling with some things that might be bringing something home with him that you're not aware of, since he's eating these edibles and
Yeah.
and maybe he's hanging out with his friends. I'm not saying maybe your oldest. I'm not. You didn't say the age. Maybe he's like 16, 17, 18 years old, and he's going to hang out with some friends outside, and they're like, "Yo, let's go smoke some weed and go hang out at the cemetery." And then they do some weird ritual, and now he's got this thing following him. That could be. But all in all, I don't think this place sounds like this that paranormal. I wouldn't be too concerned.
If your son is taking drugs, this can attract demons.
Like those few things I thought of.
Angry.
That's true. That's true. I definitely believe that. I've had my experiences. Not with just marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I fully believe that paranoia you have when you smoke, when someone would smoke marijuana and they get that weird, like the room's shrinking on them and they're paranoid and they're stuck in place and they start freaking out. I believe that is some sort of demonic presence causing that. I mean, obviously it's the weed too, but like maybe you opened up that channel into inviting them to come to mess with you or something, because I've smoked weed before in the past that I didn't have that experience at all and I'm fine. And it was the same weed both times, so I don't know. But I don't do that stuff anymore. And just a disclaimer, none of my personal paranormal or supernatural experiences have ever been under the influence of any marijuana or other drugs or alcohol. All of them were completely sober-minded. that I just wanted to put that out there. That I know that's a way to like kind of try to discredit someone's experiences. Like, oh, they're just a druggie. I think that there's something very true about drugs and the involvement with negative entities. We'll just say I'll leave it at that one.
We got a bunch of comments here. Oh, I forgot. Last call with Troy. I think I just saw that you were recently monetized. I want to say congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Yeah, congratulations.
Really happy for you. I just want to get that out there too. That's really cool. Curtis says, I've never seen a ghost, but for years I've dreamed I was living in a haunted house.
Matt Sheetwood says, how many people even know what sulfur smells like anymore? Kevin says it doesn't sound too paranormal, actually. Yeah, I agree with that. It doesn't sound too paranormal. I think
people who...
The smell of sulfur is
like
kind of
sulfur
just,
water. I know what sulfur water smells like.
I know what that smells like, too, and it just smells like rotten eggs and farts.
Yeah.
So if I've smelled that from an actual naturally occurring source, I can assume what sulfur smells like. But not everybody has. I think it's just passed down. Like, it smells like rotten eggs and farts.
What if the rotten eggs and farts, and they heard a fart? What if they caught the demon farting, and then if they smelled it, that's where the sulfur came from?
But they said it was bleach.
No, but they said they heard a fart.
Oh,
they caught the demon at its source.
So
putting the sulfur into the air.
Fart is not sulfur. It's bleach. Is that what you're saying?
No, the fart is sulfur, but you know.
Oh, so all sulfur comes from demon farts.
Demon farts, yeah.
That's an
well. They say no. They do say that sulfur is smelled by, or like, if you smell sulfur, it's typical of a demonic, supposedly haunting.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But
it's I don't know if it says so in the Bible, but somehow humanity has gotten the idea that hell smells like sulfur
and rotten eggs,
and it just rains fire and brimstone.
So a farting ghost that likes to clean things.
We've got some real comedians in the live stream today. I appreciate all you guys being here.
Did we read this one?
Bearer Flag Mercantile says, I lived in a house out in the country. After 5 years, I started seeing residual hauntings right before Christmas. Same thing every time. Turns out someone died in my room in the 40s. Sounds like that Nightmare Before Christmas. No, not Nightmare Before Christmas. That's freaking...
The Grinch Stole Christmas, yeah.
No. No, the A Christmas Carol with the Scrooge guy, and he has the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future come visit him. That's what your experiences sound like there, Bear Flag. Clean, free, fart, and ghosts were covered in Ghostbusters. Totally deserve it. Demons fart. Curtis Selby, demons fart bleach and sulfur. Did he say that before you said that, or was he saying that after?
I think after.
Okay. Bear Flag, Kevin, the whole place was always strange. Curtis, I think I read that in my copy of the Necronomicon. You have a copy of the Necronomicon? Curtis is interested into some... I can totally see why Curtis is tuning in today.
Yeah.
Necronomicon and lucid dreaming. Yeah, buddy.
Bear Flag says, Curtis, yeah, we moved. We bought a house in the Sierra Nevada mountains built in 1920s. No ghosts yet. Let's go. The ghost feels bad about its stinky farts, so it's going to stay clean.
All right. Well, I appreciate all you guys' feedback, but... That's going to bring us to the end of our a little over 30-minute live stream today. If you liked what you heard and made it this far, why don't you do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and click that little bell. Don't forget to share your stories in the comments below.
And don't worry, the conversation doesn't end here. You can join us over on YouTube Friday, Saturday, and Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll discuss our next topic of the week. So don't miss out. This week is going to be another good one.
And if you're new here, check out our previous series where we attempt to unravel other mysteries. There's a whole backlog of very interesting topics. If you guys are new, go check it out on our YouTube.
I want to say your buddy on here says, see ya, B-Rod.
Hey! Hi, Ches Famunda.
Thank you all for being here. We'll see you all live next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So keep the conversation going in the comments. Tag us in your posts for a chance to be featured. And stay tuned for more Beyond the Hub podcast. We'll see you soon.
Take care, everybody.